You know, I don't really follow college football. I've never really connected with it on any level, and yet still, I knew about Joe Paterno long before any of this. That's kind of the whole point of it, isn't it? That's how big he was that even I knew about him. You know, when he first became head coach of Penn State University, Lyndon Johnson was president of the United States. The Rolling Stones were topping the charts, and my parents had not even met yet. And by the start of football season this year, his legacy was rock solid. It would easily have stood for the next 100 years. I mean, my God, they put up a larger-than-life statue of him right there in front of the building. And now, in an instant, all of that, the legend, the iconic status, the proud, rich tradition of Penn State football, all of it crumbles to dust just like that. So what's that actually mean for you and me? Well, you know, I think the biggest takeaway right off the top would have to be the fact that there are absolutes out there in this life. I mean, you know, let's face it, most of the stuff that happens leaves a very wide margin for individual opinion. Differences of interpretation to be shared, followed by compromise, and at the end of the day, everybody can still come together over a triple latte at Starbucks, and it's all kind of okay, isn't it? Not this, though. This cuts across all boundaries. Because everybody, I don't care who you are, everybody within reason recognizes evil in play when they see it. And whenever somebody uses their own power to overpower a child, as happened here on at least 9 different counts that we know of so far, it is a travesty, and it breaks all of our hearts. That's the reason why the entire administration was so roundly condemned top to bottom for ever allowing anything like this to happen. They should have been. But the fact of the matter is that anytime a child's innocence or vulnerability is ever put in jeopardy under any circumstances, whether it's a teen, a tot, a newborn, or even an unborn, it is shameful. Every parent gets this, rightly so, in my opinion. The second takeaway, and it's kind of a distant second, but still important nonetheless, is that no one person can ever be allowed to become bigger than the ideas that they represent. I'm going to try to make this as sympathetic as I can here, but the next day, when those Penn State students went out in protesting in support of Joe Paterno, that was very difficult to watch. And I don't know about you, but I suspect that many of those kids would today, in a much more sober moment, a week and a half down the line, with all the information we have now, I have a hunch many of them would take that back if they could. And you know, for those kids, there's no shame there. Just a lesson learned, and hopefully they now know better. And that brings me to my third thing, which is healing is on the way. And it is. You know, the very next day, Penn State was scheduled to play a football game against, I don't know, some other team. It doesn't really matter. The point of it, the real point here, is that that football game went off right as scheduled, with or without Joe Paterno, just like all the rest of them yet to come. Let the healing begin. Let it come to the football players and the staff and the coaching staff and everybody that had nothing to do with any of these events. Let there be healing for Penn State University, its staff, and its students. And finally, let there be healing for all of us. It's been kind of tough the last week and a half or so having to watch all this. But you know what? I would trade it all. I would trade all of that in a second if it could bring any amount of healing to any of those kids themselves. Sadly, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, if ever, for any of those kids. Those scars run too deep. But hopefully, they've seen the outpouring, and at least they can see on some level that they have an entire country behind them that stands with them in support. And maybe on some level that might bring some sort of peace to them. I don't know. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. I'll see everybody next time. Out.